Here is a detailed strategy on how to defeat Supreme Witch Calamitas with all classes. Please like and subscribe to help me get to 1,000 subscribers. Also, comment down any strategies, techniques, or equipment you found useful that are not mentioned in this video. I read and respond to all comments, unless they're calling me out.
This is not a no-hit run. I repeat, this is not a no-hit run.
But if you follow this guide, you might just be good enough to attempt it. Before we begin, let's talk about the arena. On Revengeance, she creates a 159 by 159 tile arena. You can hop in God mode and outline it if you want to make it look pretty. On Death mode, the arena is a bit smaller at 127 by 127 tiles. Place rails on the same elevation as the spawner so that you can easily hook up to them to reset your flight or for a burst of mobility. I forgot to do this in the video, but also have a spiteful candle around for a free 7% damage buff that bypasses damage reductions. You can use other candles for survivability if you're really struggling, but these builds I'm about to get to pretty much make you immortal. All classes should have some base for mobility, survivability, and utility. What I've gone for is 4 accessories that are universally great for all classes. Suits up with the Auric Tesla armor for a perfect all-round defense and offense. Don't use the Omega Blue armor because it straight up sucks, negating all positive life regens, setting it to 0, but giving a decent damage boost. Good for no hits, terrible for the average player. Fly with the Wings of Rebirth. I prefer them to the Seraph Tracers due to their longer flight time, making them more flexible, but you can use the Seraph Tracers instead if you prefer being faster in general. I don't, because it's much harder to control your airtime, which is essential for this boss fight, as I'll demonstrate later. For utility, use the Asgardian Aegis for some extra defense, mobility burst, and counter for the skull charges Calamitas does. You can use different dash accessories like Status Void Sash if you're more comfortable with the attack and want some additional utility. For survivability, use the Radiance. It did just recently get nerfed with less regen, but it's still extremely good, giving you 70 extra health, and a reactive regen based on your current health. But most importantly, it gives you bonus defense and life regen while you are affected by damage over time and general debuffs, like Vulnerability Hex and Brimstone Flames, which Calamitas inflicts. It's basically an irreplaceable accessory for this fight, and I can't recommend it enough. For additional survivability, I've gone for the Sponge, due to it effectively boosting your max health by 180, through its shield, which itself has 30 defense and 10% damage reduction. Damage absorbed by the shield without it breaking does not interrupt adrenaline and negates debuffs. This second sustain accessory is optional. You can go for a class-based damage one, or go for a different utility accessory like the Community, which will almost be maxed out here, or the Affliction for some bonus damage. Starting with the Ranger, use the Chicken Cannon paired with the Mini Nukes due to its splash damage and lesser reliance on precision, allowing you to focus on dodging. Complete your accessories with the Recon Scope for damage and crit bonuses. Use the Elemental Quiver for bonus damage and velocity to all projectiles. Finally, use the Dynamo Stem Cells for even more damage and additional Dragon Folly Seekers. Go for a crit build by reforging all accessories to Lucky and the Chicken Cannon to Unreal. You should have nearly, if not 100% crit chance. Lucky builds are better than menacing builds, end of discussion. For melee, use the Arc of the Cosmos with its parry mechanic to negate some projectiles and deal easy crayon-eating brainless damage. Just hold mouse 1 in her general direction and you'll be fine. Wear the Elemental Gauntlet to increase the size of your sword. That's what she said. Get bonus swing speed, damage, crit, and inflict the powerful Elemental Nyx debuff. Pin the Badge of Bravery for some armor penetration, damage, and crit chance. Finally, use the Destroyer emblem to round out your damage and crit. Reforge 4 accessories to Lucky to reach 100% crit chance, and fill the remaining with Menacing. Make your Arc of the Cosmos godly. Sadly, Legendary is not available. For Rogue, rapidly launch the Wrathwing, focusing on spamming due to its tracking and multiple projectiles destroying everything. Stare into the Eclipse Mirror for a general improvement in Rogue stats. Just ignore anything boosting stealth as it's not really important for this build. Put the Venerated Locket around your neck to throw 2 times as much projectiles. Note that the duplicate only does 7% of the Wrathwing's damage, but because both fire many projectiles, it's well worth using over general stat boosting accessories. Finally, use the Destroyer emblem again for more crits and damage. Reforge all accessories to Lucky for 100% crit chance and make your Wrathwing flawless. For Summoner, call upon Yoron's Kindle Staff and fill your remaining minion slots with the Staff of the Megworm. Train your dragon with the Kaleidoscope Whip, which ain't doing much for most of the fight because of its short range, but it's still good to keep around just in case. Use the Phantomic Artifact for bonus damage and survivability while your minions attack. It won't be active during the bullet hells, but don't try to hot switch because it will throw your rhythm off. Just keep it on and get good at dodging. Use the Nucleogenesis for bonus minion slots and massive minion stat boosts. Finally, use the Auric Soul artifact to increase your minion slots with every dragon you have summoned. This time, reforge all accessories to Menacing, as minions can't crit. Reforge your whip to Legendary for some speed and size, and your minions to Ruthless for the biggest damage boost. Lastly for Mage, hold the Void Vortex to fill the arena with Magnet Spheres, trivializing the damage method, allowing you to focus on dodging. Wear the Ethereal Talisman for an extra 150 mana and massive mana reduction alongside damage and crit. Pair this with the Sigil of Calamitas. It's basically the same thing, only giving 100 extra mana. These things really shouldn't stack because it's so stupidly overpowered. Finally, use the Destroyer emblem again to damage and crit max. Reforge all accessories to Lucky and the Void Vortex to Mythical for well over 100% crit. In general, all classes should use the Bobbit Hook for its extreme speed, making flight reset and mobility a piece of cake. The Normality Relocator should also be considered for its ease of use and extremely powerful teleport to the Cursor ability, which I will give tips on using in a moment. All classes should also have a Staff of Metwhelm handy just to fill in any minion slots you have for a small DPS bump. Very importantly, set up 2 Clouds of Aqua Scepter on the top 2 corners of the arena to help clear out the Brimstone Hearts during the Sepulture phase. This is especially necessary for Ranger because that class is by far the weakest during endgame. Additionally, some potions will also help you during this fight. Purple Haze gives extra immunity frames and damage, Soaring Potion gives more speed and flight time, Gravity Normalizer makes gravity normal in space if you're fighting her there for whatever reason, I won't judge. And the Flask of Holy Flames for melee, summoner and rogue can help you squeeze in some extra damage over time. Obviously make sure your health and mana are maxed out alongside using all shimmer upgrades to make the fight just a little easier. Now let's get on with the movement guide. The opening of the fight starts with a bullet hell phase for 15 seconds which only consists of the straight moving skulls. It's best to start in one of the top corners of the arena and make your way down slowly, weaving in between the skulls. Take your time with your movement here as there isn't much to pressure you, so move slowly and steadily while making your way down. Be sure to have an ample amount of flight at all times so as to not be caught off guard. A tip for this fight in general is to limit how often you hold down space. It's much easier to control your movement by continuously tapping space rather than holding it, ensuring you keep straight and predictable. Avoid making drastic movements during the bullet hells, like dashing or making a sudden ascent, as it's likely that you have not seen the projectiles off screen, making planning your next move much harder. In many instances, this will cause you to take a hit. Another tip for the bullet hells is to travel in the direction of the skulls, as many of them will be either going to the left or right, with little crossover. This just makes movement more predictable and easier to navigate. If you're in a bad position, use the Normality Relocator to TP out of there to a safer spot. Be mindful of the brief period of increased fall speed after a TP, which can mess you up sometimes. Also, be ready to readjust your movement in accordance to the new position. When the bullet hell is over, the Sepulture phase starts. Here, you'll need to take down the hearts as fast as possible so as to not extend the fight. Calamitas is immune to damage here, so taking down all the hearts fast allows you to get to damage much faster, reducing the fight time and reducing the opportunity for mistakes. Try to stay on top of the arena at this phase, especially if you have a homing weapon, as Sepulture can distract or block your projectiles. Calamitas will level with you, firing skulls. Similarly to the bullet hell, tap space to bait the skulls and make small height adjustments to avoid them entirely. Sepulture will fire a petal of darts occasionally, so distance yourself from his body to spread them out, making them easier to weave through. Additional dart petals will home into your position and explode shortly after. Repeat the distancing strategy if possible. If not, teleport inside the origin point after the explosion to completely avoid the darts. When the hearts are defeated, Sepulture dies and damage begins. She will continue the same attacks as before, with the straight skull shots and dart bombs. After a bit, she will shoot 4 waves of darts like a shotgun. Circle her to avoid them or create distance to weave through them. After the shotgun attack, she will make 4 dashes at the player. This is telegraphed as she loses her big red shield. You can use your dash from the Asgardian Aegis to counter it, teleport out, or move in the opposite direction to her. She will cycle these attacks at all times throughout the battle, so mastering this cycle is essential. At 75% health, the second bullet hell begins. This one is by far the easiest as there are way less skulls. However, the dart bombs will also be present, so repeat those strategies to avoid them. All bullet hells last for 15 seconds and are indicated by an audio cue, which I will play now. From 75 to 50% health, Calamitas has no new attacks, but she increases the rate of which she launches attacks, so repeat previous strategies and use the Normality Relocator as a get out of jail free card if you have bad positioning. The third bullet hell begins at 50% health, where the number of skulls is equivalent to the first, and the dart bombs are fired more rapidly. Here you will want to linger in the same area rather than moving around too much, and let the projectiles come to you instead, which I find easier to deal with when there's so many. An advanced strategy is to hold your adrenaline for tanking damage, instead of dealing damage, especially if your dodging skills during the bullet hell phase is not great. Taking a 50% damage reduction could go a long way and has carried me multiple times, so don't waste your adrenaline by popping it at the end of a damage phase, and instead keep it for bullet hells. When the third bullet hell ends, Calamitas will have the same attack pattern until 45%, where she will become invulnerable and call upon her brothers, Cataclysm and Catastrophe, but I call them Sword Guy and Fist Guy. She will still fire the dart bombs every now and then. They have a short spawn animation in which there are no projectiles in the arena, giving you an opportunity to hook to the nearest surface, preferably one of the rails in the middle, and get some healing and adrenaline in. When they spawn, each one of them will be on either side of you, forming a straight line, making focusing one easy, especially if you're using a homing weapon. I find the Fist Guy to be the most obnoxious due to his special attack, limiting your space, so I recommend focusing him down first. Both brothers launch straight projectiles in your direction. They're very similar to the skulls Calamity shoots. The swords and fists are slightly harder because they fire at an angle, making the micro adjustments more tough. To compensate for the angle, remain perpendicular to their alignment by incorporating small horizontal movements on top of the regular up and down. After some time, they will do a special attack. Only one brother can do a special attack at a time, otherwise it will be almost impossible to no-hit. The fist special attack, which is the hardest in my opinion, will create a 3-line rotating wall of damaging fists that speed up over time. On top of this, both brothers will still attack you, with the Fist Guy anchoring himself and fastening his attack speed to a ridiculous level. To dodge this, remain in one of the splits and repeat the same micro adjustments. The difficulty comes with the space the attack occupies. You can make it a bit easier if you teleport to a different split with less projectiles and go from there. The sword special attack will have the Sword Guy anchor to any point in the arena and fire slashes at you with lightning speed. You can dodge this easily by circling him and using your teleport. After he's done with that, he will create a delayed linear slash with 2 smaller angled slashes after, much like Virgil's Judgment Cut. This is also easily avoided by teleporting or dashing away with the Asgardian Aegis. Now you see why I don't like the Fist Guy. An advanced strategy is to keep your adrenaline for when the brothers spawn and use it to absolutely erase one of them, making the phases shorter and easier. When one brother dies, the other will increase their attack rate and do the same special attacks. The special attacks are not enhanced and remain the same at all times. After defeating the brothers, Calamitas has a taunt that lasts for a few seconds in which you can reset your flight safely. After this, she will cycle between her regular attacks much more rapidly, with the dart bombs being launched a lot more as well. At 30%, the 4th bullet hell starts. It is the same as the 3rd, but this time a permanent vortex will form from the center of the arena, taking about 5 seconds, and will chase you throughout the whole battle. It isn't faster than you, but it will catch up to you very fast if you stop. So instead of letting the projectiles come to you, you must move around and away from the vortex. The hitbox for the skulls is very forgiving, so weaving between them is not as bad as you might think. Still move around somewhat slowly, but still fast enough to escape the vortex, and keep tapping space to keep straight, making maneuvering easier. This time, try to move in the opposite direction of the projectiles rather than with them to get them out of your way as fast as possible. The added pressure of the vortex makes this essential. Speaking of the vortex, it isn't that scary, as grazing it doesn't do flat damage. Rather, it acts like a damage over time zone. If you slightly tap it, it barely does any damage, so it's not run ending if you graze it. Additionally, it does damage only to your health, meaning that your shields from the sponge stay untouched for high damage hits like skulls or darts. This may be a problem if you're low on health but have shields up. The vortex, however, will interrupt your adrenaline meter. When the bullet hell phase is over, Calamitas will do her regular attacks with the vortex still up until 20%, where she becomes invulnerable and shields herself with Brimstone Seeker minions. The Seekers have a decent amount of health and are best dealt by weapons with good area of effect damage, which are the ones I've recommended earlier. The Seekers will each periodically fire just one dart at you without even tracking, so they're not really an issue. They can throw you off at times, but you can just teleport away from the cluster. Try to burst them down as fast as possible, as they only serve to extend the fight, making more room for error. Use rage and adrenaline if you have it for this phase. After all Seekers are taken down, Calamitas will fight normally until 10% health, where the 5th and final bullet hell phase begins. The attacks are a little less frequent than the 4th bullet hell, but that's because a new projectile is introduced, the bobbing skull. Much like the regular skulls, this one is a little smaller, but bobs up and down, making them really unpredictable when weaving through. My best advice is to stay clear of them if possible, but if the only path is through them, then move through them as fast as possible as to not let them move up or down, helping you with predictability somewhat. Another strategy is to bait the vortex in one corner of the arena and teleport to the opposite side to reduce pressure for some time, making dodging the bobbing skulls a little easier. Luckily, the bobbing skulls don't appear outside of the bullet hells, so this is the hardest part of the fight for me. When the final bullet hell is over, Sepulchre will make one last appearance, so use the same strategies as you would for him normally. A general tip here, even with the vortex, is to still stay on top of the arena to easily damage the hearts and kill Sepulchre. Save your adrenaline for this part from the 5th bullet hell phase if you can, to almost skip Sepulchre entirely with the crazy damage you can do. After After defeating Sepultura, Calamitas will go into a small desperation phase where she will fire attacks a bit faster with no extra gimmicks. Basically, if you defeat Sepultura the second time, the fight is pretty much over. Obviously, don't do anything stupid just because you're close to the end. You'll know that she's been defeated when she delivers her final monologue and the vortex and projectiles disappear. Enjoy all the drops as they are extremely good against the exomechs. Defeating Calamitas will add her to your town as an NPC, giving you the option to exhume certain items. The best one in my opinion is the Shattered Community, due to its improvements to the rage meter, making it constantly fill up regardless of your combat status, and also boosting its damage by an extra 25% if you level it up. Thank you for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing if you found this useful, informative, or just entertaining. I'm pushing for 1,000 subs by the end of the summer, so I would greatly appreciate it if you help me get there. Comment down any other builds or strategies that you find helpful, or if you'd like to see guides for other bosses. I will try to update the loadouts for each update, which will be found as a pinned comment. Again, thank you for watching, like and sub for more guides, and I'll see you later.